Good morning, class. My name remains Engineer Joshua. Today, we're going to be looking at identification of electrical tools and instruments, equipment, whatever you call it. But these basic tools are, it can be power tools, it can be hand tools. These are tools we use in carrying out electrical installation work. So of course, we all know that the right tool can make all the difference when it comes to what? Completing a project or carrying out electrical installation work. They make the difference in terms of professionalism when it comes to professionalism in doing your work. The bottom line is that the better the tool, the better the outcome. So if I may ask, what are the various tools that we do know when it comes to carrying out electrical work? Electrical work, like we said, are tools used to. You can have tools like tape, which is the normal tape, hammer, and so. So these tools are used to work on an electrical system. This can include a wide range of tools such as the tape, like I've said, the hammer, utility knife, screwdriver, etc., etc. So workers must rely on these tools for what? For accuracy, resilience, craftsmanship, of course, for your comfort and what? Safety. And in using these tools, you must consider first thing first, which has to do with what? Safety. Because any electrician who keep our homes talking about light installations, talking about other kind of electrical works, must definitely use the basic tools. We're going to itemize the basic tools and the applications. One, we said the tape. The tape as a tool is a standard tape measure used for all kinds of what? Feed measurements, such as what? You can use the tape to measure a height, the length, the outlets, switches outlet, and all that. Because if you want to get an accurate measurement, maybe before you put a clip on the cable, if it is maybe, most especially when it has to do with what surface wiring, you have to have an accurate measurement. So the tape is a very important tool for what? For what? A standard measurement. You have to center the lighting features, buses, and marking surfaces for what? The cutouts. So another tools we can look at, basically these are what? Hand tools. Is what? The hammer. Of course, we know the hammer as a basic tool that you use to drive nail. Maybe the carpenter will use it to drive nail. Like in the case of electrical, basically you drive the nail, little nail for clips, installations, and all that. So you also need a hammer to what? To drive wire stables, okay? Which can be referred to as what? A clips, when you are laying your cable. So a hammer is another important tool when it has to do with the electrical installation. And of course, we have what is known as what? The utility knife. Of course, knife, as we know, used for what? For cutting. But in the case of electrical, it's a utility knife or boss cutter, depends on how. Definitely these tools that we are listing now, you definitely see the picture, how they look like in your material, which is available in your material. The utility knife, like I said, is a handy tool for cutting cables or other necessary materials that you can use. But basically, it's for cutting what? Cables. You can use it to cut cable or to peel. Okay? Another tool we have is what? Screwdriver, basically. Screwdrivers. Of course, we have different types of screwdrivers, but basically, electrician keeps screwdrivers with them at what? All time. You have screwdriver that you use to loosen what? Nuts. Okay? You use it for removing and installing cover plate, outlet switches. Of course, we can use it. Even non-electricians normally even use screwdriver. So we have various types of screwdrivers, like you can say, okay, the Phillips type, different manufacturers, different make, has to do with what? Screwdriver. Screwdriver has different shapes. It can be flat, it can be star, depends on the kind of nuts you intend to what? To lose or tighten it. So another is, like I said before, screwdriver have types. We have the blade screwdriver. We have the star screwdriver. Depends. Some persons can call it flat. So it depends on what you want to use it. But basically what is used is for tightening and loosening what? Nuts. Okay? Then we have Allen key. We have what we call the Allen key type screw. The Allen key type screw or wrench, depends on whatever you want to call it. It has different shape, as you can see in the picture. It's used basically for wrench operations. We call it wrench because it has a special way it looks like. Okay? So you can see it in a smaller size or bigger sizes. They have shapes, different sizes. So it is also used for tightening screws, which are sometimes found on what? Ceiling fans, your light fixtures, appliances. There are some special appliances that if mainly looking at the screw, you find it difficult to even reason. So basically, these are work that the Allen screw or wrench do when it comes to electrical work. Of course, we have the torque. We have the torque, what referred to as the torque groove plier. Torque groove plier is referred to as torque groove plier because the way it looks, the nature it looks, which you can see in the picture. It has, for clip, torque groove plier are known by what? Many names, including channel loop, groove joint, whatever thing you can call it. Is basically used for what? Plumbing work. Basically used for plumbing work. You can see that in the material given, which the picture is available. Then, of course, may looking at it, you know what it's used for. And of course, the main plier, which we all know. The main plier, which we all know, definitely. Plier, you can use it for different purposes, which basically linesman carries. There are different types. They look alike. There are some that has a sharp cutting edge. There are some, but what plier is basically used for is to what? You can use it to hold. You can use it to hold while you unscrew. You can as well use it to what? Cut. It's a multi-purpose. I call it a multi-purpose tool. Okay? A center cutting blade for what? You can use it to trim what? Wire. It has the nature of a center cutting blade, which can be used to what? Trim a wire, hold an object for you to be able to carry out other activities. And of course, we have what? A non-voltage tester. I think not many people have seen this. It has a sensor. It has a sensor. This is just like this a marker. It's just like a marker. We refer to it as a non-contact what? Voltage tester. It's not like, of course, in the screwdriver types of a tester, we have a tester that has to do with screwdriver type, which has a knob at the tip here. When you cover, you can test for voltage and all that. But this non-contact, we refer to it as what? Non-contact voltage tester. This non-contact voltage tester is just like this. It has a sensing element. You can put it on even before getting to a socket. Before getting to put it inside the socket, the sensing element has already beeped. If there is a current passing through that socket, it will beep. Beep, 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 beep. But if there is none, then you won't hear that sound. So we refer to it as a non-contact. That is why it's non-contact. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to put it inside, like a normal tester, which looks like screwdriver, which you have to make contact with before you can sense if there is a light, if there is current that passes through. But this non-contact voltage tester, at a distance close to the socket, it can verify if a voltage is actually present at that region. Of course, we have the wire stripper. We have a wire stripper as the names. We have a wire stripper. It's just to peel off what? Wire. Another essential electrical specialty tool for what? Homeowners. It's a good pair of wire strippers. Wire strippers are used to what? To cut, strip insulation what? materials. If you want to peel off, simply with the name, peel off. This we can see in the practical session. We're going to see more, and you see how it is being used and handled when it comes to what? The practical session. But now we're just familiarizing ourselves with these various tools. Of course, we also have the plier. We have different type of plier, just as we have different type of screwdriver. Here we talked about there is another type we can look at, which is the kind of nose plier. Nose plier. It's called what? Nose plier or needle, needle-like in nature. Needle-like in nature because it has a sharp pointing edge. Okay? It has a sharp pointing edge. The long, narrow tip make this what? A great tool for what? Detail work. Most needle nose plier also include what? Cutting jaws. It has that kind of tips. You can use it to pick objects, holding it. Plier basically holding conditions. And then of course we have the diagonal cutting pliers. Hope I'm not too fast. Diagonal cutting. Because these are kinds of plier. It is the shape which you will see that determines what? The make, the type of the plier it is. Because it is the shape that gives rise to what? The names. Though they are all family of plier. But this we say diagonal because it has a kind of, the head, so to say, is shorter. And basically its function is just for cutting. The function, this particular function is for what? Cutting. You cut cable or insulator, where you can even use it to strip insulators, okay, away from cables. So also we have the fish tape. The fish tape or fishing tape, depends on. It's called fish tape because of the look also, which you can see. You use it basically for conduit works. Basically for conduit works. How do you make use of this? You will see in our practical session. But basically what is used, you can use it to pull stranded or solid wire cables through what? Through conduits, piping and all that when you are carrying out conduit work. Basically, the fishing tape is a tool that fits in and enable the electrician or technician to carry out the work effectively. Then we have the voltmeter. This, of course, like I said, combine both the power, tools, hand tools, instruments, and whatever you can call it. We have also the voltmeter. Of course, when you say voltmeter, basically, voltmeter is used for what? Measuring volts or voltage. Of course, we have ammeter. Ammeter is used for measuring what? Current. So you can have it in separate, or you have it in what we call what? Voltmeter. Okay? Or multimeter. When you refer to as a multi-purpose meter. Okay? A multi-purpose meter is referred to as what? A multimeter. So basically, we'll see this in the practical session where we'll know how to make proper use of a multimeter in terms of measuring voltage, in terms of measuring the current. It is a multi-purpose. That is why, hence the need for what? A multimeter. So you can have a voltmeter as a separate instrument. You can have the ammeter as a separate instrument. And of course, if you want to be mobile, faster in your measurement, maybe because you don't want to carry much load, you make use of a multimeter. And we have different types. We have the digital type multimeter, and we have the what? Analog type multimeter. So basically, it is your understanding. Basically, I think the common one now is the multimeter, and it has different, the digital types of a multimeter, which has different manufacturer make, and all that, the shapes, look, you see. At least we can show you 2 or more types of what? A multimeter in terms of what? Analog and what? Digital, so that we know how to The analog has to do with deflections, while the digital, you see the records. Okay? Then we looked at what? Wire creepers. Wire creepers is also a tool. The wire creeper is basically the names. You creep plugs or connection terminals onto what? Wire. Okay? The tools is often used for what? Routine circuit repairs. So there are some tools that does a special kind of work. Once it is done, you drop. But there are tools that you can see in any technicians or people like that works in the power distribution companies. You basically see them with the plier and maybe a screwdriver or a tester, because these are basic tools that you must be with as a technician before you can easily ascertain that, okay, you want to carry out your work. Of course, like I said earlier, there are tools that you just make for a special purpose. Like other tools we have the flashlight or torchlight. Depends on. One will wonder, why would an electrician need a torchlight? Of course, there are some situations that you can see yourself working in a confined a situation or conditions where there is no proper lighting. Okay, where there's no proper lighting, you have to, because you can't carry out electrical work in the dark. So to avoid being making contact with current, you have to see what you are working on when it comes to electricity. So that is why the torchlight or flashlight, depends on how you call it, is another tool that is needed by a technician to carry out a proper electrical repairs or installations. And of course, we have other level or torpedo level, depends on call it. I think the general name is plumb. There are some people that call it plumb. You have a level. You see it in the material. A level. What do we use that for? It is a tool that you use. Like now, I want to have an accurate measurement, plumbing, so that there will be no bend. Let's assume I'm carrying out installation work at this level. From what you can see from here, there is no way you can get it straight. But you use that level or torpedo level or plumb, as the plumbing we call it, to get the exact, uh, um, straight line, which you want to. If you have to check the level, if it is okay in line, when you are lining cable, you have to use that to check to see if it is line. Some persons can still use rule, and of course, rule can tint, depends on how you see. But if you want to get the actual level for a particular lining of cable or conduit or whatever we talked about, your level is a good a tools to carry out that activities or work. And of course, we have a drilling machine. Depends on what you call it. We have a drilling machine or electrical drill, depends on what you call it. It's a drilling tools. It's a drilling tools that you can use, a power tool, which basically you use to drill hole or smoothing an already made hole so that it can fit in. And it has different sizes, depends on the shape you want to take. And it makes use of what we call beats or drill bits. The electrical drilling has a drill bit which you fix different sizes. Of course, like I said, these sizes of bits are determines is in response to the type of hole you want to drill. It can be on the wall, it can be on the pipe, the PVC pipe. So once you drill, you power, and with this drill bit, you will see it in the material. It has different sizes. Once you point, as you power, you press, it will be drilling. Just make it easy. Instead of using the old method, then you can talk about chisel, hammer to drive in your materials. But this helps in what? Driving in easily. Then we have the ammeter, just like I've said earlier. We have ammeter, we have which use in measuring what? Currents. use ammeter in measuring current. We have clamp meter. We have what we call clamp meter. Clamp meter, basically, we're going to use more of this when it comes to the practical session. Used to measure current flowing through what? A conductor. There are some sensing elements in it also, which can help to detect if there's a continuity when it has to do with what? Conductors or electrical what? Equipment. Okay? The clamp meter is a tool. You see how it is being used when it comes to what? The practical session. The watt meter is another instrument. The watt meter is another instrument. And of course, when we talked about watt, your mind should go to what? Watt meter. So when we talk about watt, your mind should go to what? Power. Power. So watt meter. It is a meter used to measure what? Power. So these instruments are similar in design and construction to that of what? An ammeter, because it has a specific function which is used to measure what? Power. It has different types, different shape, in analog form and also in what? In digital form. And of course, we have a conduit bender. One will wonder, why a conduit bender? You see, basically, these instruments and tools are named based on what they are used for. Of course, many of you have seen a tool used by the carpenter for removing what? Nails. They use it to remove nails. Okay? It has that edge or clip removed to remove. So it's used to bend what? Pipe. And it makes pipe, especially when you have to do with curved areas. Especially when you do with curved areas. For you to get it straight and right, this enable you to get that curve straight without obstructing. So these are basically the functions of what? These tools. It's a conduit bender. So the tools used in conjunction with a long lever. You can use it to determine on the shape gradually, and still get the shape. Basically, it's for what? Conduit work. And like I told you before, the reaming bits, and all that types of tools. So basically, from what we have done here is to familiarize you with the basic tools. You know better. We can as well do more by doing a research to get more types of what? Tools that we can use in electrical work. Like I said, from the listed tools, we have the power tools, we have the hand tools, instruments that we can use in carrying out electrical works. There are more, but the basic tools that we see every day in carrying out electrical work, those are the ones we have listed. And of course, we didn't just identify it, like you can see, even the picture in the material. We also talked about how they are being used. But the understanding will be more when it comes to the practical session, when we start carrying out the work using these basic tools. As a reminder, we've talked about a tape, a hammer, fish tape, non-contact testers, which is not most common. We have the tester, a screwdriver, depends on what you call it, and they are in different shapes, like I talked about. The blade type or flat depends on what you call it. Then we have this star. We have the Allen wrench or Allen key, which you use in loosening different types of nuts, bolts, or whatever you call it, that screws from the socket. It can be from electrical equipment, gadgets, and so on and so forth. So we'll see more of these tools when it comes to the practical session. For now, thank you.